What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Minhunter Comics, and today we're going to talk about the problem with key collector and cover price for using as a price guide for books. Before we get into that, do you actually know the end of the week is not only my birthday, but the 3-year anniversary of this channel. 3 years! Oh my gosh! If we can get to 26,000 subscribers by July 1st, I'm going to give some lucky subscriber the full run of Batman Returns. So let's talk about the issue with using key collector, cover price, and all these things to use as a guide for your books. I just picked up a collection, and how I picked it up, I'm actually not quite sure, because the gentleman was looking on cover price and key collector to use as a guide. Just as an example, here's a Superman 14, very recent book. Key collector put it at $5. Now, every single book in here was labeled like this. This entire box, as you can see, was actually labeled DC Keys under $10. So I thought when I was going to look in there, I thought I was going to see some true $5, $8, whatever books. I opened it to see more like $1 to $2 books. So where does this confusion come from? And honestly, it's these apps. Key Collector is a wonderful app. It's probably the best app out there in terms of identifying the key issues from each run. You look up a particular run of books and it tells you what issues have some sort of key significance. The problem is we need to remember there's new characters that don't go anywhere that get introduced in practically every issue. So a lot of times you have really weak keys that, hey, it is the first appearance or the death or the origin, so it gets a mention. Now, I have a theory that's not proven, but I think that for some very small keys, on Key Collector, it'll say $1 for the low grade, $2 for the mid grade, and $3 for the high. I think that they just don't have a system that allows them to put $1 as the high, because a lot of those books that you find on Key Collector truly are worth about $1. Me and other sellers know this because when we go to claim sales or we set up at flea markets, we know that if you do try to do $3, $4, or $5 for certain books, they're going to sit forever. You have to make them $1 to $2 or they just don't move. You have to understand that for every single run, there might be the tiniest key significance in almost every single book. It's almost like there needs to be a toggle that says true key collector. Those of you rating dollar bins at local comic book shops or at the yard sales might find these books and think you got a nice payday, you're turning $1 into $5. And yeah, that absolutely happens all the time. It's a good app to use for that, but not every book really is that true value that they list on there. Just to give you a couple examples, we've got Legion of Superheroes Annual number 2. We've got Batman Who Laughs, Grim Knight. We've got Legion of Superheroes Millennium. Batman number 75. Nobody's spending a full $5 on that. Batman 62. No one's spending a full $5 on that. Batman Secret Files. I really doubt that people would be spending $1 on that. $5 for this Infinite Hour Extreme. I don't know what that is. It might have some small significance, but I really doubt people are going to spend on that. This one, Key Collector puts as a $6 book. That actually is a key that could have some legs. So sometimes, yeah, I've seen them actually go for $5, and sometimes there's no way someone's going to pay that for it. I think, quite honestly, the best guide to use might be recent eBay searches. Now, sometimes on eBay, people have a tendency to overpay, especially if they see free shipping. They might have a possible overpayment where you see, oh, look, someone actually did spend $4 to $5. That's probably because of the free shipping being offered. I'm thinking most likely a lot of those books that are labeled as $5 and $3 books really truly are $1 books that you will find. And the problem is when you go on these apps, you can get a really unrealistic expectation of what you think your books are worth. There are various price guides that have been around for decades. They are typically best when dealing with the big and the mid-level keys. It gets tough when you start going after the small stuff. I love the small stuff. I love underrated books. I love me a good $3 to $5 book, but probably like a third of it is fluff. I was looking at a collection several months back where Bry from Bry's Comics actually sent me a lead. He looked at everything and he thought the total value was about $15,000. A good offer would have been anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000 for that particular collection. That gentleman said that he was expecting $60,000 because he had used cover price on every single book that he looked up. I had the conversation with Bry. I was like, what do you think about this? What happened here? And we both kind of thought that it's quite possible that this person was either using cover price and just got blown out of proportion to expectations, or maybe he was even looking up 9.8 slabbed values on stuff. There was a huge miss of the expectation versus reality there. Now we have to talk about the opposite. What happens when Key Collector, for example, is way under? Because believe me, especially as a Green Lantern fan, that happens. Take, for example, this first appearance of Larfleeze. Key Collector says that's a $3 book. Any comic book seller will tell you straight up that is like a $15 for a high grade book minimum all day long. Absolutely not a book that should be under $10 by any means, and yet Key Collector puts it at $3. And for lots of underrated runs like Green Lantern, you will actually see this. So it goes both ways. Sometimes you have books that are worth $1 that Key Collector says is like $3. Sometimes you have something that's worth $10 that Key Collector says is worth $3. That's the problem with using those as a guide. Use those Overstreet price guides. They still work. Some of them do get quickly outdated, but they're great, man. A lot more realistic. Getting the value on slabs is easy. You can use Go Collect, you can use all kinds of websites, and it shows you the actual recent sold. So there's no problems there. It's really easy to look that up on those websites. But for stuff like Raw, Key Collector, Cover Price, and various other apps can be a little off. And it's okay. They're not meant to catch everything. What I'm saying is they shouldn't be a definitive guide, because a lot of times, maybe even 2/3 of the time, it's actually pretty accurate. Highs on Key Collector really are the highs. But again, we're talking about the third of the time where something's just way low or way too high, and it can lead people to some unrealistic expectations. Recent sold listings on eBay and Overstreet price guides and experience are the best things to tell you what a comic is really worth. I do claim sales every single Sunday, and I like to err on the side of at FMV or below. I like to make sure that the books actually move. Sometimes even when you list books at the fair market value, they sit for months. And that just goes to show you the market is down. People are spending less on comics, and you must adjust to the ebb and flow. Listen, we all adjusted when things went up. You now have to adjust when things go down. So many of these sites still seem like they're a little bit stuck in the 2021 land. There's multiple websites that might say a book is worth $5 all day, but when you try to move them for $5, interestingly, they don't move an inch. That is a sign. That is experience telling you, okay, I need to lower this to $3 or maybe even $2. On the same side, if you see something's worth $5 and you put it up at a claim sale and there's like 30 people that immediately jump on it, you might have just underpriced something. So do the research before you put a book up. Just make sure that it's about what you want to be selling it for. You might be giving away some gold, or you might be overcharging people. This is just a conversation I've always had with like my friends and fellow comic collectors out there in the wild that I haven't really talked on before on this channel, so I thought I'd make a video. You've got the internet. It's your friend. Just know that, like Wikipedia, not everything is going to be 100%. I'll see you at the next video, and keep on hunting.
Make sure to come down to Sentiment Depot Antiques and Collectibles, where I'm set up with all of my comics, located at 238 West Delaware Ave, Pennington, New Jersey. Open every day except for Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy 10% off from Wednesday to Friday. See you there.